Our first speaker today can best be described with an oxymoron, like jumbo shrimp or working vacation. I describe Adam Jones as an interesting economist. Adam has been UNCW's regional economist since 2015, and he continues to come up with interesting takes on the past, present, and future of our community. Today, he'll take on the biggest story of this year, COVID-19, and talk about how we can zoom into a post-COVID economy. Please join me in welcoming the interesting economist to the stage.
So what is Zoom? I want you to think back to a year ago when we thought Zoom was maybe a verb. Like, I'm just gonna zoom over there real quick. Or maybe an adjective, like, oh yeah, just hit the zoom button or take a zoom shot. Think about where we are today and what happened a year ago. So when I say, what is Zoom? All of us had to Google it to find out what it was in March, apparently. So these are the Google Trends data for Googling what is Zoom. And you can clearly see when we hit the panic button, and we all started to realize that maybe Zoom is more than a verb about going someplace quickly. So today, how do we think about Zoom? Well, Zoom is now a noun as well, with the piece of software. It's a noun when I'm referring to some of my students. We have the Zoomers. We have those that are live with us, the Roomers. And if you don't understand any of that, then you're probably a boomer. So it's definitely been an interesting year. We've come up with other ideas of ways to use the word Zoom. Like, is that meeting Zoomable? And now the question is, how can we use this going forward to make sure that it's an even brighter future for all of us and that we put all of this to work? That's where I think we'll have an interesting conversation this morning for a few minutes. I think it's also interesting, you can clearly see when the kids went back to school, we go, oh my gosh, here's a whole nother group that needs to learn what is Zoom. It's interesting to look at some of the other things. You know what else spiked up real recently and I think is really hopeful and optimistic? Search the Google Trends for vaccine. Positive things on the horizon. All right, so how is this beneficial and useful to us going forward? Well, let's think about the way economists view the region and what you might call prosperity. So we have a tendency to think about two ideas, production versus productivity. So production is total output, right? How much does a region produce? And this is the one that gets all the headline numbers. Oh, gross domestic product grew by 3%. Well, we're talking about total output. Why is this so important? Well, think about as a business if that number was negative, if output was shrinking, if the economy was shrinking. How exciting would it be to tell a potential business owner, yeah, you should definitely open up here. By the way, your customer base will be 2% smaller next year. That's not an attractive sales pitch. Positive growth is where the story is, the optimism is. But what drives that positive growth? It could be people moving to the community. It could also be productivity, right? Each person producing more than they did the year before. And it's that productivity that economists focus on when we're thinking about quality of life and living standards. And I think this is where this transition, this disruption that we've gone through will ultimately help us. All right, so here's my story and the way I think of productivity. I'm a simple guy. I need simple examples. So in economics, we tend to think of output as being produced by inputs, so labor, capital, human capital, natural resources, and then critically, our knowledge about how to combine all those things together to make stuff. Our knowledge about how to make stuff is what we refer to as technological knowledge. So my example of technological knowledge is making chocolate chip cookies. So you're gonna find out real quickly why my wife does not allow me in the kitchen very often. I'm probably the only person that you've ever talked to who's been thrown out for boiling the pan of water for ramen noodles dry. Twice in the same meal. The second time it boiled dry, my wife said, "Get out of the kitchen, you're ruining my best pans." All right, so she mistakenly let me in once to try and make cookies, which of course I screwed up by warming the butter in the microwave instead of letting it soften on the kitchen counter. But she made a really interesting point to me. I made the cookies by getting out the chocolate chip package and setting it down on the counter, and I looked at the recipe on the back. That was my knowledge about how to combine the ingredients. So I looked at it and I said, okay, I need what, some baking soda. So I went to the cabinet and I got the baking soda and I came back. And I said, what else do I need? Well, I need some sugar. Okay, so I went to the cabinet and I got it and I brought it back. My wife walks in and she just shakes her head. She's like, why don't you just carry the list with you over to the cabinet and get what you need and bring it back at once? That is an example of an improvement in technological knowledge. To make the cookies, I'm still using the same baking soda, the same sugar, the same chocolate chips. I'm still using all the same ingredients, but combining them in a different order, a different way, a more efficient way, made me more productive. That's what this disruption is going to do to us going forward. We're now rethinking everything. How many of you have heard, well, we've always done it that way? What have we said constantly over the last 9 months? We can't do it that way anymore. Now's an opportunity to set aside all of those priors and assumptions that we made before and really rethink how we do everything. So what do we look like as a region and as society going forward? Well, I think that maybe the best way to think about the future is to look to the past. So there's a school of economics referred to as the Austrian School of Economics. And it's often quickly dismissed for being libertarian in nature, anti-data, anti-empiricism. They say they're just this fringe group, don't pay too much attention to them. But they have a unique view on the world. They view the world through the lens of human action. Right? They study individuals. How do individuals make decisions? Firmly based on the assumption that individuals are purposeful. They make decisions to make themselves as best off as possible, which is a polite way of putting, we're all selfish, right? We do what's good for us. So let's take that idea and think about it in this world going forward. So if individuals are firmly doing what's best for them, what does the future look like? It might look an awful lot like the past. Why did we do what we did in the past? And how has it changed? So at the university, when the shutdown came, we all went, oh my gosh, this is the death nail in the coffin. We're going to be completely online forever. Nobody's ever going to come to class again. That's not the feedback that we got from our students. The students said, we miss class. Wait a minute. Why? Why did we get together before in class? We've had telephones and conference calls for a long time. Why did you go to meetings? If you didn't have a meeting scheduled during the day, why did you even bother going into the office? I think the answer is because we are social creatures and because innovation and creativity is fundamentally collaborative. It's the chance encounters in the hallway, the coffee shop, at the co-op, where ideas get bounced around and they combine with others and form new ideas. And that can't be replaced by a series of pre-scheduled, planned Zoom meetings. So if we're looking to the future, look back to the past. Think about why is it that we did what we did and what has potentially changed going forward. So I don't want you to leave here thinking that, oh, Dr. Jones thinks we're just going to go back to the way we used to do it. That's not the case at all. But the evolutionary biology that led us to where we were probably hasn't changed in 9 months. What's really changed in 9 months is the technological constraints on us. Now we have these new tools we can use to do those same things differently and better. So we talk about, oh my gosh, education is going to be replaced by online education. We've been through this discussion in fear before. In our industry, it was, oh my gosh, the textbook is going to replace the professor. Now the students can just read the book, all the materials in one spot. Turns out they don't read the book. So along comes March and it's, oh my gosh, what are people gonna do? The students can just watch a video. All we need is one person to give a wonderful lecture and then everybody can watch it and there's no need for a professor. Turns out the students don't watch the videos either. How does that knowledge creation happen? It happens through the interactions between the students and the faculty in this creative environment. I think that's true in our workspaces as well. So what is going to be different going forward? If you ever on a Friday night, maybe a year ago, said, I am worn out, let's just order pizza. Why did you just order pizza? It was convenient, show up at your door quickly, and it's delicious. Think about now. I would imagine that most of you have downloaded and learned how to use DoorDash. I'm learning how to use Grubhub, slowly figuring all this out. But now the options are much broader than they used to be. Now when I get home on Friday night and I plop down on the couch and I'm dead to the world, start talking to my wife, and it's no longer let's just order pizza. It's what do you want to order? Technology and this disruption that's been placed on us has opened up variety, opened up options. And our lives are better because now if we don't want to deal with going out, we can have about any food we want delivered to us. We're at a point now where we can use this disruption, setting aside the way we used to do things, to completely rethink, step forward, and open up the options as these technological constraints are relaxed. But the social aspect of us isn't going away. So this summer, when things start opening up, watch out as people come to Wilmington and the beaches and head to the mountains as we all try and fill that hole that's sitting there from this lack of social interaction over the last year. That said, I can't wait to get to 2021 and the opportunities that come with it. So let's get there as quickly as possible. Zoom, zoom. Thank you.